Hello again and welcome back to some climbing news. Lots to talk about today. We got Jonathan Siegrist sending his 90th 9A plus / 515A. Natalia Grossman's return to comps, the second ever AT / V15 Boulder Flash, and more. So man, doing that whole YouTube thing as always, and asking you not to forget to throw in a like, subscribe if you dig these climbing news updates, comment with opinions, all that good stuff. And yeah, man, start the show. And starting us off today, let's talk about Jonathan Siegrist, who has been out in Squamish, just doing what he does best, which is just completely freaking dominating 9th grade routes. And by that I mean 9th grade French routes. So I guess that'd be, 515s in the Americas, except for 9A, which is 514D. Anyways, that's not particularly important. What is particularly important is the fact that he just spent honestly, indeterminate, because I can't find much info on how long he took to do this thing, amount of time to send Midnight Way 9A plus / 515A. This is a route that was FA'd by Connor Herson last year, and I mean, yeah, dude, Squamish means granite, which means heat, which means, honestly, I don't understand how people are climbing this freaking hard in the middle of summer. Like, if you've never been outdoors, granite is a particularly fickle rock that collects humidity and heat like nothing else. Meaning that, generally speaking, whenever you get past like sweater weather territory, this thing basically turns into a slip and slide. Meaning, stuff is way harder than the grade would otherwise suggest. And yeah, look at this crap, man. Siegrist is 39, and this is his 90th route at 9A and above. It's nuts, I tell you. And then Natalia Grossman's return to comp climbing was freaking rad. Does anybody watch it? If you didn't, spoilers, she freaking came in first place at the North American Cup after having spent 6 months rehabbing her knee. I got a knee injury too. You know what I've been doing in the 6 months I've had it? Drinking beer and getting fat. She comes in and knocks the competition out of the freaking water while smiling the whole time, which I know she's just a happy person. She's having fun, but at the same time, a little bit of your soul's gotta die if you're competing like your life depends on it, and you turn and you see Natalia smiling her way up the same route you almost died on like it's no big deal. That can't be fun. But for real though, huge congrats to Natalia Grossman. The effort and work she's put herself through can honestly not be overstated. It's amazing to see her back to competing, and I honestly doubt she'll be making too many more appearances this year. The World Cup season's basically over. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens next season, how she performs, where she's gonna end up in podiums and all that stuff. It's gonna be pretty cool to check out. So pretty excited. Let me know in the comments below if you are too. Next, let's talk Stefano Ghisolfi, who, to no one's surprise but his own, has sent his third AT / V15 boulder problem in what he has described as his best ever day in his short bouldering career. So Stefano's in Gottardo, Swizzy. He's been trying Adularia for quite a few days. It's a surprising amount for someone as strong as him, 8 days in total, when he decided to take a break from his proj and tried the slightly easier El Toni AP plus / V14. Somehow, to no one's surprise, it seems Stefano was able to send El Toni quite quickly at the beginning of the day, and so since he still had energy and skin and a bunch of other stuff, he headed over to Adularia and he found himself standing on top of the boulder. Now, as far as why it took him so long to do, Stefano has stated that Adularia is both very much an anti-style boulder as well as actually pretty morpho for him. Seems a lot of the moves were very much max reach. So yes, state of modern climbing, man. How crazy is it that we're now considering 8 days to be a long time to send freaking V15. Progression is wild. Congrats to Stefano. I believe in his bouldering abilities, even though he hilariously seems to not believe in himself for reasons I cannot and will not ever be able to comprehend. But it also seems like the dude is experiencing an Adamandra bouldering's not so bad moment, as he just stated that he will likely be doing more of it this year once he's done competing in the upcoming World Cup in Koper. So man, yeah, I'm very much excited to see what he actually ends up sending. I mean, he tried Burden of Dreams a few years back, or like a year ago, so it could be kind of cool to see if he ends up doing 9A. Also, maybe he's gonna get on Alphane or something, I don't know. What do you guys think? Love to know your thoughts. And speaking of doing hard stuff in bad conditions, Toshi Takeuchi sent the Singularity 8C/V15 just a couple of weeks ago. I completely missed it. I don't know how or why, but I did, which is, my bad. Now, if you don't know who Toshi Takeuchi is, he is a pretty freaking strong climber from Japan. The guy has sent 7 8C boulder problems. He's also pretty old, or at least relatively old, as I understand it, probably near or around his 40s, and he's the CEO of a big chain of gyms in Japan called Rocky Climbing. So, there's no excuse. And yeah, dude, the Singularity. He sent that thing at 27 degrees Celsius on a day with 0 wind and probably a ridiculous amount of humidity. That's not normal. I genuinely don't understand. And if you're American and want to be as befuddled as I am, 27 degrees Celsius is 80 degrees Fahrenheit on granite. Why would you even do that to yourself? That makes 0 sense. I'm sorry, but if you're strong enough to be climbing a notoriously freaking finicky 8C boulder when it's hot, humid, in a place with 0 airflow that is probably disgustingly muggy, you're a freaking superhero, dude. But yeah, massive congratulations to Toshi. Instagram's down below as always. Go give him a follow if you don't already. And then let's talk about Flashed Climbing. And if you don't know Flashed, it's a Canadian brand that sells pads, chalks, chalk bags, and other products. They've just announced on Instagram that due to ongoing tariffs, they will be discontinuing retail sales in the United States. Now, as far as I can understand what is happening, Flashed holds the entirety of its inventory outside of the US. And so, to put things very simply, the rising tariffs have put them in a very rough position. Either raise their prices to US consumers and very likely lose a large share of the market that they already have, or simply stop retail sales in the US altogether and basically focus on the Canadian market. And this isn't the first climbing brand that we have seen be affected by the Trump administration's tariffs. Mad Rock, for example, also put out a statement a few months back stating that they would be taking the hits on the tariff costs themselves for as long as they could so as to not raise prices on climbers. Basically, a very similar situation to Flash. 2 companies who are unwilling to compromise their core values, essentially keeping climbing accessible, but who will eventually be forced to make some pretty difficult decisions, as Flash has done so now. I mean, honestly, we're basically seeing that happen with other shoes already, right? Shoes in the USA are really hitting all-time high prices. The new Evolve Phantom Pros are on sale for $240 pre-tax, just like a lot of the shoes on the Scarpa website, which is very different from the prices you're seeing in the EU. The new Drago XT in the USA are going for $240, whereas you can find them in European stores for 180 euros, which conversions as of this video puts the price at $210, which is still ridiculously expensive given that a few years back, the most expensive shoes were Solutions there at 160, but still, it's insanity. And by the way, Scarpa's got everything at a 25% off in its North American store. So if you want to go buy shoes and are in the USA, you want to get them for the same prices as you would if you were in Europe, now's the time to do it. Though I guess that also excludes taxes. So yeah, still more expensive than Europe, but it's something, I guess. Also, sale ends on September 1st. So be advised if you're in the USA, and go get shoes at normal-ish prices before they go up like crazy. And then, okay, so let me get this straight. Jules Marchaland just flashed Power of Now Direct 8C. Jules Marchaland, a sport climber, a freaking sport climber. What the fuck? Who's only ever done 3 other goddamn 8C boulder problems, just showed everybody up by becoming the second person to ever flash an 8C. Not Jimmy Webb, not Daniel Woods, not Nikolai Uznik, who we all were fucking, thinking he was gonna be the guy, not Hamish MacArthur, or even Noah Wheeler, who's apparently too busy selling shirts or whatever now. Noah, do you see what happens, Noah? Do you see what happens? Do you see what happens? Stop stop trying to make a goddamn living and represent the bouldering community, man. Like, what? You're letting us get showed up by a sport climber. A sport climber with zero experience who just came out of nowhere and shat all over our entire discipline. Leave it to my goddamn nemesis to flash one of the hardest boulders in the world and then stand on top of it screaming about how good he is. Do you know the first thing that dude said? Je l'ai massacré, right? Basically, I fucking killed it. I massacred it. Oui, Jules, t'as les massacré, mec. Mais, but what he actually meant wasn't the freaking boulder. We all know he killed the freaking boulder. We've all seen the footage. No, what he meant was boulderers in general, me included. I finally understand the Godfather. So yes, I'm taking this as a personal insult because it's bullshit. And Noah or Ben Wheeler, I know at least one of you two watches this show every once in a while. Listen, just fucking listen. We need you now. This is not a drill. This bastard, my nemesis, just shat on our favorite part of the sport and declared war. Noah, get your shit together. I know you're going to Switzerland this fall. You go flash that boulder and you stand on top of it and you downgrade that bitch to 8B+. For bouldering's sake, man, this will not stand. This aggression will not stand. And Jules, painful as this might be to admit, that was the coolest and most impressive flash I think I've ever seen. Dude climbed that thing perfectly. Also, just like, can we talk about how ridiculous it is to commit to the big throw move on the first go like that? Like look at that. That's full extension. Go to the gym, get between jugs, and set yourself something that far so you can see how big that move actually is in first person. Do you know how scary that must have been? Dude is pretty freaking high off the deck and completely horizontal. Like, yeah, he's over a sea of pads, but like, again, it's his first time up there. Like, look at Giuliano Cameroni trying the move the first time in his FA video. That's crazy. He barely even makes it halfway to the lip. He's so scared. That's normal. This is not normal. This is seriously insane. Honestly, like, I'm acting like I hate the guy for reasons that are becoming more and more blurry at this point. Like, I can't really remember how this started, but you know, if being my hated nemesis keeps making this dude pull off shit like this, I'll keep that one going. I don't care. Yeah, and that is how my hubris comes bubbling to the surface as I super casually try taking credit for the guy's accomplishments. It's not because he's an incredibly strong climber that he managed to flash power of now direct. No, it's because my blind hatred of a guy I haven't even met and who overwhelmingly probably doesn't even know I exist managed to reduce the gravity around him. So, you know, Jules, you're welcome. And also eat shit. But hey, that was some climbing news. Thanks again for watching. If you made it this far, one last reminder to like, subscribe, comment, all that engagement stuff that helps me get this show to you, blah, 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 you know, the drill. I'll see you for another update, as always, on Friday. But in the meantime, and as always, go climb some stuff.